Okay, we should.
The 2nd of December, Rabbi Furst, Parsha Hashavua, Vayeitzei.
Good, thank you, Lou. Yeah, as Lou said, as Rabbi Shlomo Furst here, Yeshivat Samanakshi, here in Yerushalayim, care of Zoom, in Erev Shabbos, Parshas Vayeitzei, Shana Tafshin Pei Gimel. Yeah, very good. If you would like to direct your attention to the following pasuk, that's in Perek Chaf Tes 29, 29, yeah. Pasuk K.
Chaf Tes K. Let's see. So it says, Vayomer Lahem Hayedatem Es Lavan Ben Nachor Vayomeru Yadanu. So he said to them, do you know Lavan, the son of Nachor? So this is when Yaakov first arrives, and he's looking for his shidduch with Rachel, and he inquires about Lavan, who is Rachel's father.
Right, that's right, exactly. So if you notice, when he named Lavan, he named him Lavan ben Nachor. But if you remember, the father of Lavan was really Besuel.
Oh, right, good point.
If you want to verify that, you want to go back to Parshas Chaisara and verify that by the pasuk. Let's see where that is. That would be in Perek Chaf Daled. Perek Chaf Daled. And you can see from Perek Chaf Daled 24 pasuk Nun, the 50th pasuk there. We'll see the Rashi.
Nun 50?
50, right? 24:50.
Okay, let's see. So it says, Vayan Lavan Uvet Suel Vayomeru Me Hashem Yatsa Ha Davar Lo Nuchal Daber Alecha Ra O Tov. So let's see. Then Lavan and Bethuel said, it comes from Hashem. The matter comes from Hashem. We are not able to speak to you, good or bad.
Right. So look at the Rashi there in the first part of the pasuk there.
Okay, so then Lavan and Bethuel answered, Lavan was wicked, so he leapt to answer ahead of his father.
Right. So you see here clearly, there probably other places too. We see clearly that Lavan was the son of Besuel, not the son of Nachor. And then just to refresh our memory, this will be part of what we're going to discuss. Look at Nun Gimel, pasuk Nun Gimel.
Oh wait, before we do that, I want to dispute your raya, because it doesn't say Lavan spoke first. It says Lavan and Bethuel spoke. So maybe Bethuel is not his father. And Rashi is telling us that the reason it doesn't mention his father is because Lavan spoke before his father did. Maybe Bethuel is his brother.
Well, I don't know what are you going to do with Rashi?
Rashi doesn't say who his father is. It just says excuse me a second. It's Roy calling. Roy, we're on. Oh, I see. I forgot to admit you. Okay, I'll admit you right now. Sorry, Rabbi, I blew it. I was concentrating on the book and I didn't look at the screen.
Well, that's okay. I understand.
So what I'm saying is, let's say that Haran is Lavan's father, not Bethuel,
Yeah.
like it says here. So if that's the case, and let's say Bethuel is his brother, so it says then Lavan and his brother answered and said, blah blah blah, and Rashi says, the reason that his father is not mentioned in this pasuk is because Lavan, being wicked, spoke up before his father.
One second. There would be no indication that he spoke first.
There is no indication he spoke first. As it is. It says Lavan and Bethuel. Let's look at the Hebrew. Lavan uvetuel vayomeru. Doesn't that imply that they spoke at the same time?
And not necessarily. We see that there's many times orders in the psukim. The one who's listed first does something first, right? But but we see another pasuk that you can take a look at another pasuk in
Chaf ches.
28, pasuk 28.
Okay, let's see. Here's Chaf Aleph.
Good morning, Roy.
Good morning, Rabbi Furst.
Good to see you.
Baruch Hashem. Sorry I'm late. Over shopped for Shabbos. Cough.
Okay, so I'm looking at Chaf Tet.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's in chapter Chaf Daled.
Yes.
Okay, so it says Ula Rivka Ach Ushmo Lavan V'yatzar Vayaratz Lavan El Ha'ish Hachutza El Ha'ayin. Okay, so the translation says Rivka had a brother whose name was Lavan. And Lavan ran outside to the man at the spring. Okay, so Rivka is Lavan's sister.
Right. And who was
and look at 24.
mhm.
It says Vayomer Elav Bas Besuel Anochi Ben Milka Asher Yalda Lenachor. So it says, she said to him, I am the daughter of Besuel, the son of Milka, whom she bore to Nachor. Now, who is speaking? Who is she? It says, you got to go way back to find out who she is.
I'm lost. Where are we?
We're in 24. We're in Chayei Sarah.
Yeah.
24. And now I'm looking at 15. What we're trying to do is we're trying to establish who was the father of Lavan.
Oh,
So
it's 24 what? 24,
15.
15. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so it says, and it was when he had not yet finished speaking that suddenly Rebekah, who had been born to Bethuel, the son of Milcah, wife of Nahor, brother of Abraham, was coming. So Rebekah is the daughter of Bethuel.
Yes.
All right, now we had something here that said Rebekah had a brother whose name was Lavan. That's 29. All right, so that establishes it. Okay, I'm convinced.
Okay, so now we have to try. Now let's go back to our original pasuk that that is in Chav again. That was Chav Tes pasuk hey.
Right, Chav Tes, hey. So it says to them, do you let's see, was it hey or was it chet?
Hey, I believe, right?
Hey.
You know Lavan, the son of Nahor.
That's right. So that's our question. It says Yaakov asked the shepherds when he came to Padan Aram. He asked them, Yadatim, do you know as Lavan ben Nahor? You know Lavan, who's the son of Nahor? Yamru Yadanu. He said, yes, we know him.
So this contradicts. So we just read about him being the brother of Rivka, who's the daughter of Bethuel.
Right. So that's the question. The question is, why did Yaakov Avinu reference Laban to his grandfather rather than to his actual father, Bethuel?
Well, don't they often interchange father, grandfather?
There's a Chazal say b'nei banim kibanim, the grandchildren are like the children, right? The grandchildren are like the children. So strictly speaking, it's not a sheker. It's not a sheker that you could say that a person wants to be called by his grandfather's name. Wouldn't be sheker, but that doesn't really give us a reason why Yaakov went ahead and changed it. Why just don't reference Laban to the more standard knowledge that he is the son of Bethuel, right?
And since Rashi does not comment, I think we have to presume that the meaning is pashut.
Okay. Anyone you want to suggest any particular meaning?
Yeah, that it's that Nahor is Lavan's father. That's the pashut meaning. If Nahor is the grandfather, then I would think that Rashi would say Nahor is the grandfather, and it's not uncommon to refer to the grandfather as the father, or something like that, something to explain that.
Well, we already know from another pasuk that Nahor is the grandfather. Rashi doesn't have to tell us that. Where is that pasuk? 1 second. That pasuk, that's in the Perek base 22, chapter 22. I guess chapter 22, start with, if you have to go through all the psukim, more or less. Chapter 22, pasuk 20.
Okay, 22. 22. Okay, and it happened after these matters that Abraham was told, saying, Behold, Milcah, she too has borne children to Nachor, your brother. Uz, his firstborn, and Buz, his brother, and Kemuel, the father of Aram, and Chesed, and Hazo, and Pildash, and Jildaph, and Betuel. Okay, so Betuel is the son of Nachor.
Right.
And Betuel begot Rebekah. So Rebekah is the daughter of Betuel. Okay.
Yeah.
So it seems like we have a stira, no?
Well, it's not exactly a steer. I mean, it's an established fact that let's start from the very beginning. Avram Avinu had a brother, and his brother was named Nachor. Okay, and Nachor had some children. He had Rivka and Laban. Maybe he had more. I don't know, but he had Rivka and so no, excuse me. Nachor had a son, and his name was Besuel, right? And Besuel had children, Rivka and Laban. That's the way it works.
Right.
Well, so when Yaakov Avinu came to Padan Aram, so he referred to Laban as being the son of Nahor, which technically is not untrue. It's not untrue because, as Chazal say, B'nai Banim Kibanim, grandchildren are considered like a person's sons. And so the opposite is also true, that the grandfather is like considered like the father. So you could possibly consider that Nahor is going to be the father of Laban because he's in fact the grandfather, and being the grandson, that he can be referred to as the son of the grandfather. The grandfather can be referred to as the father of the grandson. So technically, that it's true to some extent, right? Whether it's completely accurate, I don't know if I'd call it completely accurate, right? But it's true. Can't say it's not true. True, but maybe less than accurate. So now we have to understand why Yaakov Avinu went ahead and referenced Laban according to his grandfather rather than according to his actual father. So the Meforshim speak a lot about this. There are a lot of several important nekudas. First and foremost, we have to realize that Besuel was now no longer alive. He was dead, right? How do we know he was dead? If you want to go to Pasuk, I'll show you. That's in chapter Chavdalet, 24 through 53, 24:53.
24, 50, 16. Oops. 24, a longer one. 53. And the servant brought forth vessels of silver, gold, and garments, and gave them to Rebekah. He also gave to her brother and to her mother precious things.
Oh, so he gave to the Rivka and also to the brother and also to the mother, right? So look at what Rashi says here.
50,
what's that?
precious things. It has the same meaning as what's that word? Mem Gimel Dalet Yud Mem Safit Magadim.
Yeah, that's like that's so. Those are like
Precious.
delicacies. So you see here first of all that who's getting these things, and the brother and the mother are getting these things. Aside from Rivka, the mother and the brother getting these things. Now, take another look, another pasuk here. That
55.
Yeah, 55.
Yeah, so it says, and her brother and her mother.
Same chapter, Kuf Tet.
Cup dollar,
No.
24, 55, 24, 55.
Thank you.
And her brother and her mother said, let the damsel abide with us a year or 10 months. After that, she may go.
Right.
And Rashi says, where, and her brother and her mother said, but where was Bethuel? He wished to prevent the marriage, therefore an angel came and killed him.
Well, so you
Oh,
saw
I
it.
remember that.
Yeah, you see, he was
did that.
wanted to kill Eliezer to prevent the marriage. He was going to put poison in a cup and was going to give that cup to Eliezer to drink. So when he wasn't looking, a malach came and switched the cups and gave him the poison cup and gave Eliezer the unpoisoned cup. And he drank, and that was the last drink he had. So Basuel was now dead. And how long ago was that? Right? That was a long time ago. So, right?
Was when Rebecca was a baby, and they called Rebecca and oh no, sorry, they said we called her down after her mother.
Rivka
was young.
Rivka was 3 years old when she went to she left, right?
So how can we have our original pasuk that says Lavan and Bethuel asked? That was later.
Which the original pasuk?
Yeah, the original pasuk we started out with today.
What was that?
It referred to Lavan and Bethuel, right?
No, it was Lavan and Lavan ben Nachor. He asked about Lavan ben Nachor, the grandfather. He was associating Lavan with his grandfather, and he did not associate Lavan with his father. That was the. Right.
So what was the original pasuk you started out with?
That was Pasuk Kaf Tes 29. 29. 29 Pasuk Hey. Pasuk Hey.
Thank you.
29:5.
Yes. Now, Yaakov, the question is, Yaakov, right? Yaakov was how old was Yaakov when he left for Padan Aram, right? Which is basically the same. Well, that could be disputed, but basically, when they got the brachas, how old were Esav and Yaakov when they got the brachas?
15.
Well, so.
Oh no! Wait a second. They were 15 when he sold the birthright.
Right, and getting the brachas was years later. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was about 60 years old already. Yaakov was 60 years old. So this is a long time, long time after Basuel was already not in the world already, right?
Right.
So that's one of the explanations why Yaakov referred to Laban as being the ben of Nahor, right, rather than the ben of Besuel, which would be closer to the truth, right? So there's several reasons that the commentaries bring as an explanation why Yaakov did not want to use the name of Besuel in relationship to identifying Laban. So one is that Besuel was dead, right, and he's really been dead for a long time, right? So people may not really remember Besuel much anymore, right? And coupled with that is that Nahor was as we saw earlier in the pasuk, that Nahor was the brother of Avraham Avinu, right? So that was a certain amount of status and importance, right? Not to be really shrugged off or forgotten so quickly, that he was a brother of Avraham Avinu. So when he's asking for Laban if they know Laban or not, he wants to identify Laban, that this is the Laban we're looking for, that this is maybe the commentaries explain that maybe there was more than one Laban in Padan Aram, could have been a common name, right? And therefore, go back to the grandfather, where it's more specific and there'll be less chances of duplication. That and also people will know that this is the Laban who is related to Nahor, who is the relation to Avraham Avinu. Now, the fact that Besuel wanted to kill Eliezer and stop the marriage, right? So that made him into a Russia. And another reason that's explained is Yaakov didn't want to use the name of a Russia. You're not supposed to use the name of a Russia. The halacha is that if you happen to be a gabbai, we'll get to it just a few seconds later when we're learning Hilchos. If a person's a gabbai, giving out the aliyahs. So if a person, let's say he's a very fine person, but his father happens to be a Russia. So you're not supposed to call this person who's a kosher yid up by his father's name, who's a Russia, because it will embarrass him. So you have to do it in a different way to call him up, not using the father's name, which would be an embarrassment to the son. Right? So here, Yaakov Avinu could have decided he didn't want to refer to Besuel, number one, because maybe they wouldn't recognize him. He's been dead for many years now. Number two, that he's a Russia. And thirdly, perhaps that Yaakov Avinu was careful. He didn't want to cast any dispersion upon Laban, right, by using and also he wanted to give extra significance to the Laban by calling him by his grandfather's name, who's related to Avraham Avinu, and which that's a certain status. If you want to give certain status to somebody, you can tell them that you reference them as being the relative of a very great person. That's the same case over here. So we see several cases and reasons why Besuel was not mentioned, and it was rather Nahor was mentioned instead. Okay, that's one point. Now, let's go to another point here. There's here. Let's go to chapter Lamed Aleph 31.
Lamed Aleph. Oh, oh, Lamed, Lamed Dalet, that's no good. Lamed Base, I'm getting there. Lamed Aleph, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now go back up a couple of psukim to the pasuk just before that, Mem Gimel, Yifrot Saish.
Mem Gimel.
Just before the Aleph in the Lamed, the Aleph, the last pasuk in Lamed Beis.
Oh, Lamed Aleph.
Wait, I'm confused. What chapter?
Lamed, chapter Lamed, pasuk Mem Gimel.
Lamed, Mem, Mem, Mem Gimel. It's 43.
The man became exceedingly prosperous, and he had proliferating flocks and slave women and slaves and camels and donkeys.
Mhm.
Okay. What after that? Next pasuk Aleph. That excellent. One second.
The Yishma,
Yaakov was very successful, right? Yaakov was very successful. Oh, go back to yes, that's right. Go back to pasuk. mm,
Can I ask you a question on 43?
Yeah.
So the commentary says that he bought these slaves by selling his flocks. And I have a footnote that says Lavan paid Yaakov only in flocks. If he had slaves, he must have bought them with money he acquired from selling his flocks, according to Devek Tov. Why would he do that? I mean, I presume that these are Canaanite slaves, not Jewish slaves. There's no Jews at the time, so therefore they don't come under the laws that make slavery a good thing. This kind of slavery is a bad thing. Why would Yaakov be engaging in this kind of activity?
Why do you assume that slavery is a bad thing?
Because, well, for one thing, you can't free a Canaanite slave. They're slaves forever, and their children become slaves.
Right. Okay.
So, what's the benefit to the slave of being a slave?
There's free room and board. They protect.
They don't get they don't get the good treatment though that a Jewish slave gets.
I don't know. I mean, that all depends on the master, right? Depends on the slave also. If he's a good slave, he works hard. He's honest. He doesn't steal. Although we'll get to Pirkei Avos about that. But nothing works. There's nothing wrong with slavery. It's a very good institution. Contrary to
we were slaves to Paro in Egypt. Isn't that considered to be a very bad thing?
No, not necessarily. The way they overworked us was bad, but the fact that we were slaves, everyone became slaves. Not just us. Everyone became. You remember, Yosef? Everyone sold themselves to Yosef. Yosef acquired everybody. Everyone was a slave in Mitzrayim. When the famine was at its height, so everyone had to sell their belongings, their cattle, their properties. They eventually sold themselves just to get some bread.
But Yosef didn't enslave them. He said, "You go about your business, just pay a tax."
Because he was being nice, but if you said everyone's going to start working, he had the riches to do that. But nothing wrong with slavery. Why, that's an American invention that there's something wrong with slavery.
Well, because the slavery of the African Americans was a terrible institution. It was they split up families. They were beaten. They were if they escaped, they were hunted down.
So that's nothing wrong with the institution. That's the people that are running the institution.
Uh-huh. I see.
The institution of slavery has been an institution from the earliest time. Eliezer was an Eved Abraham, right? Eliezer, he was treated very nicely. Eliezer,
Right, but he's it's a negative thing for him. He because he was a slave, the curse of Noach was stronger on him than it was on Mamre, for example. And that's why Abraham says, your daughter cannot marry my son, but if you can't find a woman on your trip, then you can go to Mamre. His daughter
right, that was
also a Canaanite.
That's because he was cursed. He was cursed, but not because he was a slave.
Well, Mamre is also cursed.
Yeah, right, but he wasn't a slave. Right.
The fact that Eliezer was a slave makes him worse than Mamre.
And I'm not sure if that's the main. I'm not sure if that's the reason why. Avram Avinu was given Eliezer by Nimrod. As far as I understand, the Medrash says that Nimrod, after Avram Avinu was saved miraculously from the Kibshana age, so everyone, including Nimrod, was very, very impressed. So he gave Eliezer. Eliezer was a slave of Nimrod, and he gave Eliezer to Avram Avinu to be his slave, and he did very well for himself, Eliezer. So there's nothing really wrong with slavery. I mean, look, you can say, is there something wrong with public school? So in theory, no, but the way it's run, it's terrible. What they teach and how they treat each other, and it's terrible. It's a terrible institution.
It says that at the Yam Suf, the maidservant saw more than the prophet. Why does it say maidservant? Is it not because she's the lowliest person?
It could be in terms of social strata. It could be the low. Obviously, a slave is not high on the social structure, the hierarchy of society. Definitely not.
Why not? If there's nothing wrong with slavery, then why is the slave looked down upon it as being lowly?
No, it's because first of all, we say it our third the fourth bracha. We say Shelo Asani Eved, right? We make a bracha with the Shemu Malchus. We praise the Kadosh Baruch Hu that we're not slaves.
Well, that's a problem because we also say Shelo Asani Isha.
Okay.
So does that mean that a woman is lowly?
That the reason we're praising Kadosh Baruch Hu is we have many more mitzvahs than them. We have many more mitzvahs than a woman. We have many more mitzvahs than a slave. So we're praising Kadosh Baruch Hu that He made us men, and therefore we have opportunity to serve Him in many more diverse ways than other people.
Right. So then why do you bring up Shelo Asani Eved as a negative?
Because just as it's no, it's not a negative. It's just that it's something that you are praising Kadosh Baruch Hu that you're not an Eved because you have more opportunities to serve a Kadosh Baruch Hu than Eved does. Likewise, in terms of society, right? You want to the highest echelons of society are those of people who are serving Kadosh Baruch Hu in the best ways.
Right. So the person who is not a slave is considered to be better than a slave because he's serving Hashem in a better way. Is that what you're saying?
Right, and also the people that are serving Hashem in better ways, they are the people that are most respected, right? Those are the people that demand the most respect. You know, a king demands the most respect. The Talmud Chacham demands the most respect. The Kohen demands more respect than other people because they're serving Kadosh Baruch Hu in more and different and specific ways than other people. So yeah, it's true. It's no, I'm not denying that a slave is on the bottom of the totem pole of society, but it's obviously better to be a free man to be a slave because you have many more freedom. There's no question that a slave doesn't have the freedom that other people enjoy, but in terms of the institution of slavery, it's a very good thing. A very good thing. But, people would able to, if it's done, it's carried out. The problem is it's the people who are running the institution cause the problems, not the institution itself. And America, I mean, slave trade existed long before America came along, right? The African tribes took slaves themselves. They had slaves themselves. You know anything about African tribal history? The African tribes, even to this day, they still kill each other out, and they capture people and make them slaves to their own. So you know the blacks keep black slaves also. You can't just blame the Americans for that.
So when Yaakov buys these slaves, he's treating them as simply as financial objects.
Yeah, for sure. They were there to do work for him, to tend his flocks, to take care of his fields, to whatever. If there was merchandise to be handled, whatever. I mean, you know, a person buys the slaves. He's trying to find somebody who's that is a good worker. This guy's a good wood chopper, so he's going to chop wood for you. This is a good fellow. He knows how to. He's a cook, so he's just your cook slave. So you need somebody. So and why not? I mean, the cook. Why shouldn't he want to be a slave? He gets free room and board. He has his employment is guaranteed. He doesn't need any money. He doesn't have to fend for himself. He gets up and does his job, goes to sleep, and he's very good.
So what if he doesn't want to be a slave? What if he goes to Yaakov and he says, you just purchased me, but I don't want to be a slave. I want to be free.
All right. So let's say if you're worth $1 million, you come up with $1 million. I'll think about selling you back to yourself.
But
no
isn't it usher to free a non-Jewish slave?
Sort of mitzvah, you can do it, but they can misguide. If they're gonna, that's the freedom. If there's freedom, if they're gonna go off and not keep mitzvahs. But if they're gonna keep mitzvahs, then it could be a mitzvah to do it. The more mentions that. Yeah.
So if your slave goes to the mikveh and takes on to do the mitzvahs of a slave, then you are permitted to free him.
The Gemara talks about that you have to be careful. If the slave is going to go, you don't want him to do that. It could be that he could force the issue. It could be, but even if he does do that, he has got to pay himself. He's got to pay the owner. He was bought for $100 million. He's got to come up with $100 million.
But how can he's not allowed to own any property?
Well, once he's free, so now he can start earning money and he'll have to pay his debt to the owner. He owes the owner a debt.
I see.
So yeah, I mean all the Odiabos, slaves were not, it was very, you know, very, it was part of the economy. Slavery was part of the, you know, there are many countries, dozens and dozens of countries where slavery is permissible, right?
Not-
It's not only permissible.
Not today.
Yes, today in this world today, slavery is permissible in dozens of countries,
I don't
and there are
believe so.
and there are even more countries that it's not forbidden. Some countries there are three levels that slavery is forbidden, like the good old United States. See what's happening to that country, and a few other countries that it's slavery is forbidden, and then there are countries where it's permitted, and there are other countries where it's not permitted openly, but it's not forbidden. There's no the government's not interested. It's not part of the government's interest. You know, it's just like you want to own a pet, right? So I mean, within a short amount of years, you watch, it's going to be you're not going to be able to own pets. Because why? Because you're enslaving the pets. But most governments yet have no interest in whether you keep a pet or not. But yeah, there are many dozens of countries that allow permit slavery. So yeah, cool. Okay, I think that brings us to the end of our time. Okay, Mr. Shem, I guess we'll see each everyone on Yom Rishon. Everyone should have a good Shabbos. And
Thank you. You too.
okay, thank you, Roy. Thank you, Lou.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay.
Good Shabbos, Lou.
Okay.
Bye bye. Good Shabbos, Lou. Be well. all
Good
of you.
Shabbos, Roy.
Everyone's okay with you?
Baruch Hashem with you.
Yeah, not too
How's your
bad.
wife? Is she fully recovered now?
Oh yes, but she's tired.
Baruch Hashem that she's recovered, not that she's tired.
Right. Okay. Because she's working like a slave.
Well, that's a good thing, Roy.
Bye
Okay, have a great day.
for now. Right.
Bye.